You want me to call in? What happens here?
Hey, everybody. Can you hear me, Rodney?
Loud and clear.
Can you? Oh, good. I know nobody where I had to. Hang on. Okay.
Normally you
what's
start
going on.
with good afternoon, I'm Andy Elliott.
Yeah. Well, I'm just trying to get my head together. Happy Tuesday, everybody. Rodney, we were just having a minor explosion there, and we're back. I think
Just
we
computer.
lost it. Yeah, just I'm sorry if we lost a couple of people in there. We're back. That's the best I can do. Oh, geez, where'd you go? Oh, he's gone. He's gone.
No. Hey, that's happening every time I cancel my shared screen. So I'm just not going to share my screen. How about that?
Okay. Well, you're gonna have to go ahead and log back in because I can't see you. Call back in. We are having some technical difficulties today, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Andy Elliott, realtor in Williamson County, Tennessee. Hi, Angie. It's a scramble today. Okay. Let's see what's going on. Good. There's Rodney.
All
Ange
right.
made it.
Well, I'm not going to share any screens. That way it won't mess us up here.
Okay, I'm going to try something here. I'm going to try something. See what the music does. So I was just checking. That was just a test. Happy Tuesday, everybody. My name is Andy Elliott. I'm a realtor here in Williamson County, Tennessee. I'm with Rodney. He is the loan officer with First Trust, also in Williamson County, Tennessee. We talk about all things real estate and stuff that's on our mind, maybe bothering us a little bit. Or not. And we're just kind of following up what's going on. What's new with you, Rodney?
Kind of a lot of the same. It's applications pick up 1 minute and then it kind of rates tick up and it slows back down and just rinse and repeat for like we're 2 years into this. So
yeah, I tell you, it's and I know rates. Do you want to just tell us about your numbers today? We're going to do that right now because here comes Rodney's rate. I love that. Okay, hit me.
Well, today the rates have improved about 16 basis points, which it means it's just gotten a hair a little bit better. we've been on a little bit of a slide since the beginning of March, and it's probably lost maybe 150 basis points since March. But over the last few days, we've gained a few back. But to put it in perspective, we go back to August of 22 is about where we are right now in relation to history. So if you remember at the end of 23, we made a really good gain.
Right.
And we've lost some of that, but we've still are probably 200 basis points better than we were at the end of October in 23. So although we've hit a little bit of slide this year, it's still improvement from where we were in late October of 23.
So you're okay. So I'm seeing, and we're talking about rates here, right?
Yes.
Okay. And so I didn't know that. Because what I saw today was like 737, something like that. 7.4. That
I think they're finally saying it's first. They're over 7% for the first time in 2024.
Oh, is that? Yeah, that's right. And it's staying up there long enough to where they have to sort of declare it at that point, right?
Yes, it's definitely there.
The first thing I wanted to ask you about, and I think I prepped you for this, was that we were talking about the selling notice. Remember the interested party contributions and
yes,
and I'd had gotten a few different answers from that. What I was trying to figure out was how that all works. So I'm going to pull up this document, and if you can tell us what that means.
Yes, this is a Fannie Mae selling notice. Okay, so basically, this comes from Fannie Mae. If you look at the top, it's dated April 15th, 2024. So it's very recent, right? And obviously, you see the title there. And what I like about it is that we are aware of the proposed settlement agreement. With the lawsuit they're talking about, subject to court approval, of course, announced by the NAR, where there are no immediate changes. There are no immediate changes to our selling guide policies. We are clarifying the current treatment of the seller-paid real estate agent fees under our interested party contributions policy. Okay. So the interested party contributions policy is basically this. It allows... What Fannie Mae does is Fannie Mae has these policies that restrict a seller or somebody from coming in and saying, okay, well, if you buy this house, you get this car. Okay. Or you get every room in the house gets a TV. Okay. So what Fannie says is that they limit the interested party contributions to a certain percentage, depending on your down payment. It goes from, I think, 3% to 9% in conventional, depending on if it's like 3% down or all the way up to 30% down and things like that.
Right.
So depending on the house and how much the customer's putting down and the occupancy, like if you're an investor, you can't have any, some things can't be gift funds and things like that. But let's just stay away from that. So if you're buying a primary, they come in, interested party contributions are what the seller or somebody is interested party is going to give for this house to be sold, right?
Right.
So it's like, so what Fannie has is that they don't want you to give a car to sell a house. That way you're not buying a house just to get a car and their collateral is, not where it's supposed to be.
Right.
So the interested party and sales commissions have never been a part of that. Interested party contributions. The money the seller pays to the brokerage firm, and then how they used to split that 3%.
Yes.
That came from the seller, and since that's customary, it is staying that way. If you notice in the selling guide, it reads there, IPCs or permit interest parties including property sellers, to make contributions to the borrower's closing costs subject to a maximum limits ranging between 2 and 9% of the property value. So they're already saying, hey, we already make this contingency. We already allow the seller to pay 2 to 9% for the customer closing costs and things like that.
Right.
And then it goes on to say typical fees and or closing costs paid by a seller in accordance with local custom, known as common and customary fees or costs, are not subject to the IPC limits. Okay, so if a seller or seller's real estate agent continues to pay the buyer's real estate agent commission in accordance with local, common, and customary practices, these amounts are not required to be counted towards the IPC limits for the transaction. And it goes on to say, like they always do, they'll continue to monitor it and blah, blah, blah.
Right. And what they seems to me that they're laying the groundwork for, or they're taking into account, is as we go down the further road on this settlement deal, which manages to make it into every show, which it needs to be, frankly, that they're trying to head off the problem when the time comes when a buyer is trying to roll the cost of the commission into the house, because that's an entirely different calculation. That's what you're saying, right?
It is, yes, it is, and it isn't. Like, it's all coming out of the same pot, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's all coming out of like the sales price, and all that. So it's all related, just as it is now. Okay, it's just that real estate fees have been customarily paid by the seller. Now you can technically say, oh well, the broker wrote the check, but the money comes from the seller. So customarily, that's custom. So basically, Fannie Mae saying that that's the way it's been for eons. We're not changing anything.
Right.
It's probably going to stay that way, and it makes that's just part of the process. That it doesn't have anything to do with loan conditions or how Fannie's going to underwrite that loan.
Right. And so I guess the thing that's really left up in the air, and we've talked about it ad nauseum, really, is what they're going to do with VA.
Correct.
That VA section. I mean, that doesn't answer that question.
It does. It's been answered. It's been answered. The buyer's not paying it. I mean, it's there.
Okay.
It's not changing. They're not changing that. The buyer, in my opinion, the market's just going to have to adjust to that, just like everything else. To me, it's a non-issue. It'll become more of an issue when veterans are buying outside of veteran areas, more than likely. But if they're buying in a populated veteran area, every seller on the face of the planet will probably be. They already do that now. They already prepare their homes and sell their homes according to who's going to buy them, and that's mostly veterans.
Yeah, I don't know how that's going to go. So then, as the title is today's show, before I had to restart things, was the grim outlook for the housing market prices and that sort of stuff. I'm going to jump down to the second thing, Rodney. The outlook for home prices has changed drastically in the past month as Fed rate cuts look more and more distant. I tell you, that has changed the complexion of things. The conversations now are so different. Have you seen that? Like the news and the headlines and stuff coming out?
I have. I've got. We'll get into it. I'll offer my opinion when it comes up here. Okay. So forecasts for the U.S. home prices suddenly look a lot different compared to a month ago. What they're saying, and this is a shock. Now, remember, we've had time and time again people online reviewing articles and different professionals, pundits, whatever, that they have their opinions on how prices are going to go. But this one kind of surprised me a little bit. What they're projecting now for home prices, if you can imagine this,
is an increase of 0.5% in 2024 and 2025. That's down sharply from the forecast when they were going up 2.5% in 24 and 25. I mean, as a buyer, I suppose that's a good thing, meaning you're not going to be jumping up 5% every month like it has been. You see that?
Well, yeah, the numbers I see. I mean, first of all, when it's more sensational headlining than anything. They're saying it's going up from 2.5% just to 5%, right? 0.5%.
Mm-hmm.
So it's they're acting like it's crashing. Where I think, and you can help me with this. This is your area here, so I'm putting you on the spot.
Okay.
What I think, because if you look at the area median, the median sales price increased a little bit, and inventory continues to increase. However, the inventory available is only like a 1 month supply because all the new construction listings are considered air or whatever. They're not ready to be moved into. So if you look at the actual houses moving into, the supply is a lot less than what I think that the numbers they're looking at, which, to me is not it's not enough inventory for our house price to decline.
Yeah. Let's look at a couple of things. Here's inventory for you. This is year over year. It's down. We're up 24% in Tennessee. It's up 12%. Looks like North Dakota there and all that kind of stuff. That's what it is year over year. But if you jump back to pre-pandemic, that's how far we're down. Now we're in today's market. We see this as our normal thing. That's what it looks normal to us. But we're comparing the market from where it was to now. That's that's a lot of difference right there. Plus, let's look at a couple of things that I had pulled up just purely by accident. I wonder if this will work. I think this will work. Here's your inventory historical. Just going back to 2017, the inventory was 1.5. This is for active listings, and today it's 694,000. I mean, we're less than half of that. Less than half.
Can you tell me how many of those do they have a number of like how many you could actually move into? Like these aren't new projects coming on board in 6 months or 3 months or whatever.
The way this reads is the count of active single family and condo townhome listings for a given market during the specific month, excludes pending listings. So this seems to be, those are move in, you can move in those. That's what it seems to be.
Well, in the can the new construction be, something that's not finished be an active listing?
But that I believe that is categorized differently. You know what I'm saying? I mean, active is active, new is new. I mean, it's a different thing. Now, locally, let's look locally. Just happen to have that. And I think what you're talking about is inventory and what it means, right? Isn't that what you're saying?
I think people's argument is that our inventory is going up. That is creating a scenario where our house prices will go down. And
Yes.
I just don't think we have enough actual inventory for that to happen.
Yeah. And you can see, this is Brentwood. This is to us local, that it's just starting to tick up, but it's low compared to what it was. And this is 2019. But I mean, look how low that was. And we're just starting to grow back.
Yeah.
And that's the whole, that's the whole point. So while housing demand is solid due to a large share of millennial first-time home buyers looking for homes, they're challenged by high mortgage rates. I'm familiar with the situation right now that buyers to get into a home are having to get help with buy downs. And buy down is not cheap.
Oh, no, no. Typical buy down for 1% for 1 year is like 0.75% of your loan amount. So if you borrow $300,000, you could go from 7% to 6% for 1 year for what is that? 75% of 3,000. So
That's a bunch. It's a bunch.
20,
So
50,
as this article goes on, the economic landscape is holding steady, with the main difference over the past month is in the rates outlook and when the Federal Reserve may start easing. Now, we've had PCI that went up, personal consumption, right? And PCE is another one, CPI, PCE. And those both went up. And so now they're backing away from talking about the rate cuts, and everybody's making quite a big deal about that. It says a string of hotter than expected inflation readings to start the year gradually eroded hopes that the Fed rate cuts would be imminent. That sent U.S. bond yields and mortgage rates steadily higher. And to continue on, this is how subtle these guys can be. Then on Tuesday, Fed Chair Jerome Powell confirmed Wall Street's fears by saying that due to the robust labor market and remaining progress required on inflation, rates would stay where they are for as long as needed. Oh, God. As long as needed. That guy's brutal.
Yes, it's it's just as it keeps going, it's there are no rate cuts, and then they continue to extend that we could be hitting 8% by the end of the year.
And you know what? I can almost see that, we've had a couple of spikes. I call them spikes. I don't know what they really are, but it was below 7 to went to 7.4, at least close to that. 8 all of a sudden isn't so far away, but we'll get through it, right?
Absolutely. It's just market. It's the market is a cycle. It's a hill. It's a journey. It's a long way, ups and downs.
Well, Redfin CEO Glenn Kelman, and he's really a point of contention for a lot of us, said would-be buyers who held out last year are tired of waiting. Now, we've seen that. People they've normalized the high rates as much as you can, within tolerance. If you've got the money, then you can buy the house, that kind of a thing.
Right.
But people are kind of tired of waiting. As millennials who delayed starting family can only wait so long, he said he's never seen anything like it. And this guy is not an idiot, meaning he's a smart guy, calling the worst situation for the housing market. Housing is in this recession and the rest of the economy seems to be booming. So he says, geez. Oh, here's a little tidbit for you. Go ahead.
Yeah, isn't that something right there? Yeah, I feel the same way. Every industry is doing good, but ours.
Hey, Philip, how are you doing? Sorry, I know Rodney didn't like it when I say that. Sorry for making you hunt and peck and go find us. Sorry about that. I had to technical right there. Looks like we might lose all our bets. Bets, yeah. Bing, there it is. Boy, I just can't get in. There we go. Look at that. Big Phil, how is he doing?
Looks like, I think I went +5 or something. I went 5 rate cuts, and I'm already staring June straight in the face. So, or May, excuse me.
Here, I was pretty confident with the 3. I'd almost say cocky. Not now.
Yeah. That's it's you just never know. You never know what it was imminent they were going to cut in March or April.
There are people calling for 6 of them.
Yeah.
It goes from it's going to be 2 to 8, we're going to be down to 1.5%. for the first quarter next year. So, but here's something I wanted to mention. Rodney, is this just sound check? Is sound okay with you now? Is it okay?
My sound, yeah,
No, you can
mine,
hear me okay and all that? We're good?
100%.
Okay. Here's something I want to I want to show everybody here, and it's not a big deal, but I'm not terribly surprised. With these rule changes, technology, and technology's okay. Let's talk Zillow, let's talk Redfin, let's talk Open Door, let's talk all of these big companies that they've been trying to shoehorn their way in and doing a darn good job of getting rid of agents for years. I mean, they just have. There's a new player in the market, CoStar, which is a huge company that's different from Zillow. I'm bringing all this up because with all this confusion of what's going on, naturally there's going to be new companies that come in and go, hey, we've got the solution for your guys' problem, right? And here's one of them. I have no idea how these guys work. I'm only showing it like home pie. And so I looked around a little bit, and what their deal is, they are around to make buying and selling a house easier for the consumer, which may or may not involve agents at all. But they've decided to market the fact that you can put commissions in there because it's not on the MLS. At least if you read through it, that's what they seem to be saying. I don't know what the rules are. Are you surprised by new technology? I can't imagine what's going to be here by September.
I mean, I don't know. Like, this to me looked like an advertisement for a system that I couldn't figure out exactly what they did, right? That home pie thing. But I am not surprised. However, I'm surprised that they're coming, like what you just said. If that's the case, they're literally trying to recreate what the Department of Justice is shutting down. And are they? I mean, it's like, are they the biggest bozos on a? Do they want to jump in on a $418 million lawsuit? Like, go ahead. We're going to go ahead and drag you on in here too. You owe us $100 million. Thanks for signing up. So
Yeah.
I don't. If they're commission sharing, I don't understand that point. I thought the AI or the technology would be to move us past this issue of not being transparent or whatever the DOJ was trying to stop or the lawsuit was trying to stop. Okay.
Yeah.
So if it's not doing that, it's like, okay, good luck. You're going to be shot down as fast as you can get. They're going to let you get signed up and let you pay a bunch of money and do a bunch of work, and then they're going to shut you down.
And there has been as much discussion, and I thought, and I don't know that it was in the lawsuit per se, but the message has been received of, and I can't tell you the number of times that I've heard this over and over again. It's like, don't try to recreate how commissions, if the commission's being offered and how much it is by, surreptitiously putting things in photographs and stuff, because these guys already know that you got 1.5 million people that are going to be trying to figure out a new way, and they're saying exactly what you said. Don't do that, because they're going to, the thing we just got done with, they'll come after you personally.
Yeah, I mean, it's it says, intuitive home pie's intuitive platform simplifies the real estate transaction process and aligns with new regulatory landscape. The innovative approach ensures the real estate agents and home sellers can offer and negotiate buyer agent commissions effectively outside of the MLS. Mm-hmm. So what's that's the, I don't know. See, this is where I may be a little confused on. See, and then they go back to saying, looking for a compliant, efficient, and cost-effective way to manage buyers' real estate commissions. So how are they thinking? Like, how does that make that compliant? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it might be. I'm not saying that in jest. I really like. You know what I'm
I
saying?
don't
Is
know.
like I thought. Okay, for one, the settlement is about is about MLS. It's about commission. It's about commission sharing, right? It's about the buyer needs to have the agreement signed with his buyer's agent before he goes and looks at a house.
Yes,
And there's no commission in the MLS. There's no
correct.
commission listed in the MLS. So this company looks like it's going to talk about commissions for a service or a platform that interacts with MLS. So it's got a MLS has got an add-on box or whatever that now is doing commissions. That, I mean, that's, to me, that's not in the spirit of the rule.
No, and I'm gonna. I I okay. This is being important. I'm gonna jump in with something here that we can do together, since we're talking about what is this thing that seems to move around a lot. Here are the myths and the facts about the NAR settlement. Now, first, just like what Rodney had said, there's two things that get the commission out of the MLS, and buyer agents have to have buyer agency agreements signed before they go view houses. That's the two things. And from that, it's amazing how much confusion can be generated from those two things. But
Yeah.
it is amazing the number of I wanted to look into the camera and say it is amazing what those two changes have done to the industry. And I'm not saying good, bad, or indifferent, really. It's astonishing.
Yes.
Wow.
Pete, you got the only thing I'd say to anybody is that if you're hanging on to the split commission, if you're sitting there in your head thinking post world, I'm gonna, I'm good enough to figure out a way, about this. Let it go. It's gone. Basically you've got to figure out a way to negotiate the buyer's commission in the contract.
Yep.
Um, that
It's a
splitting
new
thing, they're done with it. Like,
done.
yeah, I'm telling you.
Done.
And these systems that pop up and try to backdoor that, and it's not going to work. It's going, they're not going to work. But now, if this one does it compliantly, right, it could be perfect, right? I just don't,
It could be, but they're up against Zillow. You think, I don't know, Zillow seems like they could figure things out. Not that I am not on Team Z. I'm not.
Yeah.
My point is that that there's a lot of people that are saying this is a death knell. I think that might be a little strong, but for some of these, like Zillow in particular, this is gonna be a bow shot to those guys on how business is done, and they're gonna have to change their complete business model. Because I don't know much about those guys. Don't care. I don't. But let's just go through a couple of these myths, and we'll do them quick. But I'm astonished again. Now, myth number one: the settlement forces brokers to reduce compensation. That is absolutely not. It doesn't force us to do anything. The whole time, from time back then till now, commissions have always been negotiable 100%. That's so. There's no new rules or limitations on realtors regarding fees or services. What is going to change, though, you mark my words on this, this is going to pull forward the a la carte, what I call a la carte fee for service stuff, where now you can pay X amount of dollars and somebody will put you in the MLS and have very little to do with the transaction. But there's going to be agents out there now, their way of publishing out front what they charge is fee for service, a la carte stuff. Yeah. And everybody's going to try every version of that.
And we already see it. We already see it right now. I'll give you a great example.
Mm-hmm.
If somebody's listening to this and they're thinking about listing their home, and they say this listing for the listing, whatever the slogan is, but if you go and list it for $500, $1,000, whatever it is, and that's it, that's all the agent does. Let me tell you what happened. We were in one of these crazy markets 3 or 4 or 5 years ago, where it was hard for somebody to buy a house. And it was a townhome in Franklin. So it was it was on a weekend. This person, had probably put in 5 or 6 contracts, lost them, didn't have a house to sell, but found this townhome that came up on a list that was one of these, they just put it in the MLS. There's no agent there. You have to get your own agent to come in and show you the house. So they go in on a Saturday, raining, and Saturday morning, and made that offer. And that person had that offer accepted by like noon on Saturday. Now, that's all fine and dandy, but I guess my point is, it was such a hot market that the agent clearly could have said, okay, well, I'm accepting offers for 3 days, and you get to see the house, make your best offer. I'm accepting all offers till the 31st or whatever, for 3 days. And then I'm going to evaluate all offers at that time, blah, blah, blah. Instead, she took the first one, and our clients bought the house with no competition. So the listing person is like, they don't care after you do that. They don't care if you get a great offer or a terrible offer. They're going to basically send you they worked that first offer out, and that was it. And they could have got several thousand more for that house. You know how it was. No repairs, no conditions. You pay and then bring me a apple pie at closing, because it's my house. You're buying it. So here is your list for $500. The seller paid $500, saved whatever they saved, but then it cost them a fortune because they got no negotiations on that house, and they could have asked, probably $30,000 more. Who knows?
Yeah. And here's the funny thing, and I don't mean funny, haha. I mean, it's strange. That person will probably put that in their mental books as a win, never knowing how much they lost. They're just not going to know.
Right. They're going to go around and brag at every party. Well, I sold my house. What'd you sell yours for? Yeah.
And they'll never know what.
I mean, and for me, it was awesome because our client got a great deal. And I'm like, it's unbelievable. If it hadn't have been for somebody who is not going to work those listings, they're going to take, you have to deal with them when you, as a real estate agent, have this other person to list for $500. When you do it, you're going to have to do all the paperwork. They're not involved hardly. They don't work. It's not a very good transaction. So, but it worked out great for our client. She got a great deal in the house, and in a market where there's no way she was going to find a house like that. So,
yeah,
we appreciated it.
Myth number 2: the settlement allows sellers to stop paying compensation to buyer's agents. That's not true. It just allows them. With this, it's always been the case. That's the thing. It's always been the case. Broken record here. You could always offer nothing. As a seller, you could always offer nothing as a compensation, but typically you don't get a lot of response when that happens. That you don't sell the house is what happens.
I guess the myth part. I guess technically that they required the $1, right?
Yes, that's what they're trying to say. Yeah.
Yeah. So yes, And that's the good thing about it. It's always been negotiable. And people have negotiated, just not probably. It's probably going to be more negotiated, but it's always been negotiable.
These are just so, I got a settlement relieves seller of financial burden. Not quite. These are just, I think I'm going to leave it with this on that, because that article just doesn't do it for me. From 2 rule changes, that goes to show you how deep and complex this kind of thing can get, or it's gotten. It's asking these nonsensical questions that it's tough. It's tough out there. It is. Let's talk about something different. Let's talk about something different. Here's one.
I think overall, let me add this. I think overall, this change in several years our market will be better. I think our buyers agents will adjust. They'll figure out how to accurately to describe their services, and buyers, for the most part, buyers already understand that they need help buying a house. So it's not like there's this big, great thing to overcome. It's one, getting an agreement signed before you go show houses. That's the biggest part of the change. And then the other one's obviously not in MLS. So I think it's going to be a good change. I talk about all these myths and all this, that, and the other, and it's going to be an adjustment period, but I think it will help overall lower the cost of buying and selling a house, right? For a seller, buyer, however you want to table it. It's if a person can it's allowing a person to negotiate. It's easier for the person to negotiate now than it was in the past. And that's the only reason.
I'll tell you what's going to lower the price more than anything in terms of, I am just thinking out loud here. This is my opinion. What's going to lower commission costs are agents' inability to define their value effectively. And they're going to be afraid or ashamed or embarrassed, or I don't know any number of words. I don't know where to categorize that.
All of them.
Yeah, because it's been so easy, relatively speaking, that I'm going to help you. It's not free, but it doesn't come out of your pocket directly. It's an indirect thing that you don't feel, because people, it's up till now, they never felt it. You just didn't, even though it was baked into the thing. It was very easy. I mean, because it used to be back in the old days, I work for free for you. Well, that's just absolutely not true. If anybody's watching, that is not true, never was. But right. That's what it feels like. That's what it feels like. And so as our price is going to drop because of that. No. And I'll tell you something else, meaning because people are going to be able to articulate the value in that. And as things go along, go ahead.
I agree 1,000,000% that the majority, and when I say cost is coming down, I'm talking about overall cost, not necessarily the price of the house. Like, the cost of the real estate fees. If you add up the real estate fees going forward, I think they're going to be. I know houses are going to increase, but if you use the same model or the same scale, I think the percentage will go down a touch.
The average. You know what the average is? The average for, I think, our company, and we've got 1,600 agents, so it's a good sampling, was 2.45 per side. It was never 3.
Right.
It's always been negotiated around. Here's another thought for you that it finally clicked here, Rodney. I'm now on track.
Thank you. I was wondering. I was timing it. It's 1:43. So great job today.
It took me 40 minutes to hook up. Sorry, it's been a busy day. I think that it's going to be, this next few months is going to be weird, partially also because there are thousands, literally thousands and thousands of agents. They're running out of leads. They're running out of time they're running out of time. And you show me a bunch of desperate people to do things, and I'll show you some price cutting going on.
Right. Yeah.
It's going to be dog eat dog for a little while.
I mean, yeah. I mean, we're in the mortgage industry. It's never been as competitive as it has been right now. It's like we see, like somebody could send in a quote, and we're very well priced in our market. We could see a quote, somebody beat me by 60, 70 basis points, was just unheard of. But it's like if somebody's not done a loan in a week or a month, they're like, this is the only loan I got. So they're cutting it to death to get it. It's, competition is just tough right now, and pricing, and it's no different with you, especially no different with you guys. And it's going to get even worse especially for people who can't articulate and take a buyer and get them comfortable with the forms and get them comfortable buying a house. Like a realtor's job to me is get that person to find them the best house for the best price that they can have, right? Give them the best deal there is. It ain't about collecting money up front for their fees. It's not going to change. They're going to get paid at closing just like they always have, and it's going to come from the seller 99% of the time. It's the people I don't think can adjust to that. It's going to. Or afraid to ask, and it's going to be tough. It's going to be I can't imagine the change. It's a very tough change for real estate agents.
It is, especially when you that's the way you grew up. I mean, it was sort of not handed to you. I mean, the way it is it's a relationship thing. That's what it is. And for these guys that are now that have to attach a dollar amount to that relationship, that's all of a sudden a different deal. And I agree with you. I had a lot of respondents. I did a short on how NAR is going to change home sellers and commissions, all that kind of stuff. And I had people from out of state saying, we understand that we have more options now. We get that, but we're still paying both sides because we know that's how the job gets done. So There's going to be that. There's going to be that train of thought. Then there's going to be the ones that, and I can't fault them, there's going to be a ton of early adopters testing the limits of the system. I'm not paying.
There's going to be everything. I love it. There's going to be everything. I mean, they're going to be there. I mean, how that works. I mean, I love that, and that's what's so great about our country is that everybody has their own ideas, and they're going to come up with something crazy between now and then. Who knows? They might come up with something that actually works, but I mean, the bottom line is not very much has changed. If you just take out all this mumbo jumbo, you still have to have two people to buy your house. You have to have a seller and a buyer, and you need a buyer's agent to bring you a buyer. Like I said, I may be tarred and feathered in my real estate community, but I think they're backwards. I think the listing agent would be the one. The buyer's agent is the one that provides a lot of value to me.
The buyer agent, is that what you said? I was getting
the buyer agent. Sorry. Like if I had to say I want to cut one out, I would cut. If I said I don't want to pay one fee, I wouldn't want to pay the listing agent.
Yeah, I think I'm just trying to do two things at once, which I really don't do well.
And I know I'll let you finish that up. And I know, everybody says the buyer, the buyer's agent is the one they want to get rid of. The seller don't want to pay the buyer's agent because all they do is negotiate against them. But of course they do, but they're bringing the buyer.
Yeah.
I mean, they're bringing somebody that it's like they're bringing a person that wants to buy a car to your car lot.
I think that, when it's gonna get real for somebody is when they're in the middle of a transaction and they get lost. Because everybody, it's all fun and games till somebody gets their eye poked out, and that's the way it is with contracts. is that you can think, because the last 3 that happened, they was silky smooth. You discount the work that was going on behind the scenes to make it silky smooth. Now
Mm-hmm.
you're the guy sitting in the seat saying, I can do this myself. And you get in the middle of a negotiation you don't know how to get out of. That's when the value. That's when the value is going to be made plain to people.
Oh yes, I mean, yeah. I mean, who knows it? The problem is, it's what you don't know is what you don't know. It's like the person who thought the seller of the house that loved the deal that I was talking about, that where I felt like my buyer got a really great deal on, because in my opinion, the agent didn't, they were just quick to sell it. They took the first offer that they had because they were working for an X amount of dollars. So yeah, I mean that they may never know they didn't get a good deal. I mean, but
and that
it's just part of it. Yeah, being educated and taking care of your clients. I mean, it's going to be wild.
Yeah, I think one of the things that you have to be good at, and I've gotten good at it. I'm not comfortable. I kind of hate it a little bit, but one of the things in real estate that you got to get good at is playing chicken. Because there are a lot of people that will take the first, hey, that's a good offer. Let's just take that one and call it okay, instead of playing chicken and waiting it out,
Yeah, I see y'all do that all the time. Where I'm like, to me, I would, for me, if I'm going into negotiating on something, I don't want to sit there and bicker back and forth. I know my price, and I'd rather just pay it and go on and not have a bunch of back and forth. But I see y'all's contracts all the time where it's like
7 counter offers.
Everybody, I mean, you're still negotiating. So why stop yourself, right? The seller comes back and comes down a little bit. The buyer comes up, but all the meantime, they're getting a better deal than they wanted, right? They're already there. They already want it. And this whole time y'all are negotiating a better deal, which is the chicken part. I agree. I'm like, I wish they had stopped this negotiation, just locked this thing down.
Well, and that's how I'm telling you,
better deals. I mean, that's why I'm in my role over here with the buttons and the numbers and applications and loan products instead of that.
Yeah, that's why a lot of us don't. Sometimes it goes for a lot of sleepless nights. Here's a little hot news that the judge for the Sitzer deal, the Sitzer Burnett lawsuit, granted preliminary approval for the NAR settlement, and it appears that they're going to get that all done in November. Why does that take so long?
Did they mention anything about the DOJ's response like a couple weeks ago?
I haven't. To be honest, it's a little hard for me to keep up because I don't know where DOJ, I think, is just piling on. It seems like I don't know where they are. I don't.
Well, I know the couple. One of the NAR people or something I'd heard when I'm on a call that they were definitely concerned about one part of the agreement that the DOJ could come back and adjust a little bit, but overall the framework was, they thought the framework was like 99% done.
99, yeah. And that's what seems to, I think that everybody's trying to be done with it. This has been going on a long time, way longer than I've had any idea. I didn't pay any attention to it for years.
Well, I remember talking about like, there's a settlement coming out in June or October or whatever it was, but that was, it was so far away that, it lost its meaning, and then it actually happened. And then,
yeah.
So,
and our guy at Benchmark, he's been preaching this stuff for a couple of years, and all of a sudden it's happening. It's like everybody's, what?
Yeah.
When did that happen? I've been telling you for 2 years. Jesus. Oh man, what a day! I I really appreciate your insight on that. And isn't it interesting how you and I are two sides of the same coin? We're trying to achieve the same result, but boy, our take on it is so different. It's
Yeah,
I
just
I could never do what you do ever in a million years.
I don't know. To me, it's a lot easier than what real estate agents do. I can't. That's. I'm not an abstract person. I can't say like, like, yeah, just people walk in houses and they're like, oh, my couch would go there. I can't see any of that. Like, I can't see myself living in somewhere. You know what I'm saying? It's just I'm weird, man. I don't know what it is. I'm the science number brain person, whatever that is. I can't play any instruments. I can't sing. I can't dance.
To this day, what sticks in my mind is you can buy a car online and be completely okay with it.
I will buy a car online today and I could care less. My wife gets mad at me for buying cars, and she's like, I didn't even see it, or I didn't even go, or I'm like, why you don't drive it? I'm like, it's my car. Like, why would you care? And I'm only going to keep it for a year or two. I'm not marrying it. Like, we've been married 25, 27 years or something like that, 20 years. I'm like, why do you care what car I drive? Like,
I just don't like the way you buy it, honey. So true confessions. The last car I got a Dodge Durango. I love it to death. But when we got done with it, I mean, I was like, okay. I finally said, okay. And the salesman, he was great. At the end, after the paperwork was signed, I might add, kudos to him. I was all signed and done. He goes, can I tell you something? I said, yeah. And he goes, I have never had somebody test drive a car more than you did. I was really, oh.
Man, I'm in my 50s. I mean, I've drove all these cars. I know what they drive like. I bought a Corvette, but without driving. I bought a Mercedes one time without driving it. I'll buy anything if I like it. I bought my big truck. I bought my big truck without driving it, an F-450. I sent my brother to Michigan or something, and he drove it back.
Yeah, I guess we're wired different that way.
Well, I mean, but you've drove them. Like, do you really how good your car is going to drive? Like a mid-size SUV, you know how it's going to drive. It's nothing special. You know what I'm saying? It's like, how it's going to drive.
We're different. We're different that way.
Yeah, I guess.
Here's honest to God, here's why I did that. Here's what I was actually trying to do. For anybody that knows me, they whenever I pull up, it was in a burgundy colored Chrysler Aspen luxury SUV. She was beautiful. And I had that thing from 2007 right off the showroom floor that had 40 miles on it until it died at 200,000 miles. And I loved that truck. I had driven it to the grave had she allowed that. When I had to get a new truck, all the test driving was, this isn't my old truck. This isn't my old truck. This isn't my old truck. And I realized at the end was, I'm not going to get my old truck back. And that's why I was test driving it, because it wasn't my old truck.
Yeah, I guess because I have to buy one for my wife, my two kids, and I normally have two myself. So it's like I'm not married to these things. If I make a bad purchase, I'm just going to sell it and get rid of it. Give me another. I mean, so that's
we're
my
different.
But my dad,
America.
I grew up. My dad was on the car dealerships, so so that may be a little bit different for me.
You could have told me that like a year ago.
It's just,
That's it. I have had it for today. Let me see. How do we want to end this thing? This was, we didn't get to look at. I don't like this and that. We didn't get to.
You need to show me an arm lock with that dude, a headlock with that guy.
I was thinking about it. There was a couple of them anyway. Listen, everybody, thanks for today, and it's always fun. Rodney, any final thoughts?
Yeah, I just gonna respond back to Angie here. She's got she looks like she's falling on your side of the car driving thing. And the back window in any SUV is very important to me. Like looking out of it, or like I don't know what that means. But yeah, the different makes life interesting. Absolutely. I mean,
Here's how
thank,
different.
good, thank goodness there's not everybody's like me. I can tell you that.
Let me tell you,
I get on my own nerves most of the time. So.
No, oh God, no. Here's a peek behind the curtain between Rodney and me. When I'm running this thing, we were blowing up this morning. I was having technical difficulties, glitching and sparking, and it was just going nuts. And I'm like really specific on how I want things to run. And I'm always stressed out and sweating, and Rodney just comes rolling in. Always says the right stuff. He's like cool as a cucumber. Not me. Oh God. That's why I love him. He keeps my blood pressure normal. Rodney, see you next week. Did we answer that? Brother. Oh, wait, yes. wait. Okay, full true confessions. The Durango back window is very small. They actually give you the ability to press a button to drop down the headrests in the rear row because the window's so small on that.
Yeah, I think the Yukon window. Yeah, it's Yukon. I'd had Yukons forever, and our SUVs are the same size as the Yukon now, the GMC Yukon. So,
yeah, you got good stuff. It was a fun day. I'm gonna go. Let's do something. Listen, Ange, thank you. Phil, thank you. Wendy, thank you. God bless all you guys. Have fun. We'll see you again next week. Bye.
You got it. See y'all.